The first AI voice agent that I built, I sold for $3,000, and the technical complexity wasn't even the hard part. Most builders are technically capable but are charging $500 to $1,000 for projects because they're positioning themselves as tech people for hire instead of as problem solvers. And I'm about to show you how I broke that ceiling. I help technical builders transition to AI consultants who close four-figure projects and retainers. And this is the exact project where I figured out the positioning shift. I'm going to break down how I scoped this, what I actually built, and the one pricing mistake that cost me $24,000 in recurring revenue. Plus, I'll reveal why this random family farm was the perfect client to test this high-ticket positioning on. If you want to land your first or next AI client, you can take part in the 4-week challenge inside of my free school community of like-minded people, where you'll find a free course that's honestly better than most paid courses out there. Plus, you'll get direct one-on-one access to me for whatever questions you may have. The link is down in the description. Now, let's dive in. When most builders pitch AI voice agents or projects in general, they lead with their technical resume. I can build you an AI voice agent that takes calls and answers questions. I use the latest AI models and can integrate with all your existing systems. That's generic, it's boring, and it sounds like everyone else. Now, here's how I position myself to this family farm. I understand that you're applying for a competitive agriculture technology award, and you need a way to demonstrate innovation while also remaining true to your Christian values. I can build you an AI system that embodies the wise auntie personality that you want, someone who dispenses practical farming education along with scripture, and representing your farm's heart while showcasing cutting-edge technology. You see the difference? One is about what I can do, the other is about what they need. The client paid for an outcome, winning that award, not for my technical resume. And here's what most builders miss. You're not competing against other AI developers. You're competing with the client doing nothing. The real question isn't why should they choose you over another builder? It's why should they solve this problem at all? And when you understand that, everything changes. Think about it. This farm could have just submitted a standard application. They could have highlighted their traditional methods, or they could have ignored the whole award, but they saw an opportunity. Demonstrate innovation without compromising their values. That's a strategic business decision and not a technology decision. When you position yourself as someone who helps make that strategic decision real, you're not selling hours of button pushing and typing. You're selling competitive advantage. You're selling reputation. You're selling the solution to the thing that keeps them up at night. And I know what you're thinking, Lindsay, how do I know what they actually need? Here's the thing. You ask questions. You diagnose like a doctor and not like somebody who's just trying to prescribe random medications from ChatGPT. I spent 60 minutes on a Zoom call asking questions to understand their situation. And I didn't even talk about AI for the first half of it. I asked about the award, what winning that award would mean for their farm, how they saw themselves positioned in their community, what other farms or organizations they were competing against, and what made their approach unique. By the time we got to what the solution might look like, they were already sold, because I understood their world better than they expected anyone to. The voice agent was just a vehicle for solving their real problem, standing out in a competitive award application while remaining true to their values. They weren't just looking for a cool AI project. They had external pressure, a competitive award application, a deadline, a reputation to maintain in their community. That's what made this a $3,000 problem instead of a $500 project. So how did I position myself as the solution instead of just another builder? I found clients with urgent, high-stakes business needs. This family farm was competing for a competitive agricultural technology award. That's external pressure that makes solutions urgent and valuable. They had a public commitment, a competitive situation, and their reputation depended on the outcome. Think about it like this. If you're stressed about something that could make or break your business, and someone who clearly understands that stress shows up and has a solution, pricing becomes secondary. They're not shopping around for the cheapest option. They're looking for the option that solves their high-stakes problem. Here's how you identify these high-stakes solutions. Look for businesses with public deadlines, competitive applications, or reputation-dependent launches. These create natural urgency that you don't have to manufacture. For this farm, the award had a submission deadline. They had already told their community that they were applying. If they submitted something generic, they would look like they didn't take it seriously. If they submitted something innovative but off-brand, they would alienate their values-driven customer base. That's a narrow window, and I positioned myself as someone who could thread that needle. This Christian farm wanted an old auntie personality dispensing wisdom and scripture. Super specific requirement that made generic builders completely irrelevant. I could deliver that because I took time to actually understand what they needed and not just build what I wanted to build. Most builders would have run from this requirement. I don't know how to make an AI voice agent sound like a wise Christian auntie. And so they would have pitched something generic instead. But specificity is your friend. The more specific the requirement, the fewer the people that can deliver it, which means less competition and higher prices. So I leaned into that specificity. I asked for examples of what tone they wanted. I asked what scriptures resonated with their farming philosophy. I asked what wisdom meant in their context. Practical advice, encouragement, community values. The more specific we got, the more they realized that I was the only person that could deliver exactly what they wanted. Premium clients have external pressure, deadlines, awards, competitive threats that make solutions urgent and valuable. Now let me show you what I actually built and how the technical scope supported that $3,000 price. So I set the agent up in VAPI using a custom voice in 11 labs, and then I connected that to an Airtable database, which stored all of the contact information, the call transcripts, summaries, and flagged any issues so that humans could review them. This wasn't just a phone bot. This was business intelligence. They could see who was calling, what people were asking about, and identify patterns in their community's needs. The voice agent was the front end, but the real value was the data and the insights that it generated. So here's what I mean by business intelligence. The farm could see what topics came up most often on calls. Were people asking about visiting hours, specific products, their farming practices? This gave them content ideas for their social media, helped them understand what their community actually cared about, and even influenced which products they decided to feature. I also built in sentiment tracking, flagging calls where people seemed frustrated or confused so that a human could follow up. This turned the voice agent from answering basic questions to protects our reputation by catching issues before they escalate. See how that changes the value proposition? And here's what's important. You charge for solved problems, not hours spent or technical difficulty. I didn't bill them for the time that I spent learning VAPI or figuring out the integrations. I charged them for solving their award application challenge and giving them a competitive advantage. The technical build took maybe 15 hours. But the outcome, positioning their farm as innovative while maintaining their values, generating community engagement data, and giving them exactly the personality they wanted, that's worth $3,000 to someone with a high-stakes deadline. If I had positioned this as 15 hours of development work, I would have charged maybe $1,500 at $100 per hour. But I didn't sell hours. I sold an award-winning competitive advantage. I sold data that they could use for years. I sold a personality that represented their brand to hundreds or thousands of community members. And that's the shift. Hours is a commodity, outcomes is premium pricing. But here's where I completely botched the pricing model and left $24,000 on the table. Look at what ongoing platform maintenance actually looks like on VAPI. VAPI updates their interface. The client wants small tweaks to responses. The AI model gets updated and responses drift. New integrations become available. The client wants to expand the system or they add a product or service offering. So I delivered all of this value with zero ongoing revenue. That's the most expensive mistake that I've ever made. One-time pricing for systems that require ongoing maintenance is how you trap yourself in unpaid work or an unhappy client 6 months down the road when something breaks. I should have structured this as a lower upfront fee and then a non-negotiable ongoing subscription. $2,000 upfront plus $200 a month for a retainer over 12 months equals $4,400 instead of $3,000 one time. But honestly, even that would be undercharging. The real killer wasn't even the lost revenue, it was the client's expectations. When you charge one time for a project like that, clients expect the system to work perfectly forever with zero input from you or from them. When platforms change, which they always do in AI, they will think that you delivered something half-assed or broken. And so you may end up doing work, not because it's the right thing to do, but because you don't want your client to be unhappy or to be perceived as incompetent. Retainers flip that script. Monthly fees create the expectation that systems evolve, improve, and require ongoing attention. Platform updates become included in your managed service instead of, why did this break? So if I were pricing this project today, knowing what I know now, here's how I would structure it. Instead of $3,000 one time, I'd structure it like this. $2,000 build fee plus $300 a month managed service. The upfront covers development and setup. The monthly covers hosting, monitoring, optimization, and platform updates. Here's why this works. The retainer protects you from scope creep and platform changes while protecting the client from abandonment. Position the monthly fee as hosting, monitoring, and optimization. This is expected in software, and it should be expected in AI. Do the math. $1,000 bill plus $300 a month nets you $5,600 in 1 year instead of $3,000 forever. And it gives you leverage to keep delivering value instead of feeling trapped by clients who expect free fixes. But let me show you exactly how to position this so that clients don't balk at the monthly fee. Frame it like this. The $2,000 covers building the voice agent with the exact personality and capabilities that we discussed. The $300 a month ensures that it stays optimized as AI platforms evolve, keeps your data secure and backed up, and includes ongoing refinements as you learn what your community responds to. Think of it like website hosting. You wouldn't expect your website to stay online without paying a hosting fee, and this is that same principle. Most clients immediately get this framing because they're used to paying for software subscriptions, website hosting, CRM platforms, so you're positioning your service in a category that they already budget for. The retainer also forces better client relationships. When somebody's paying you monthly, they actually use the system and give you feedback. One-time clients often implement and forget, and then blame you when it's not perfect months later. Here's what I mean. When clients pay you monthly, they have skin in the game to make sure that they're getting value. They use the system. They send you feedback. They think of improvements. This creates a feedback loop that makes your work better and makes them more successful. One-time client, they pay once, implement, and then forget about it until something goes wrong. And then 6 months later, they reach out angry because it doesn't work anymore, when really they just never used it properly. So the retainer keeps the relationship active instead of letting it go dormant. And I know what you're thinking, Lindsay, clients won't pay monthly for AI systems. Wrong. Clients pay monthly for results. Position it correctly, and they'll see the retainer as insurance that keeps their investment working and improving. I've had clients thank me for the monthly structure because it meant that they didn't have to worry about maintaining it themselves. They saw the $300 a month as insurance and peace of mind. The key is framing. Don't say monthly fee for maintenance. Say managed service to ensure optimal performance and continuous improvement. You're not charging for fixing broken things. You're charging for keeping valuable things valuable. Here's the exact language I use now. This managed service includes platform monitoring, performance optimization, monthly usage reports, priority support for any issues, and continuous improvements based on AI advancements and your feedback. You'll never wake up to a system that stopped working due to a platform update. I handle all of that proactively. That's not a maintenance fee, that's business continuity, and that's a strategic partnership and not a transaction. All right, so now you know that premium pricing comes from positioning yourself as a problem solver for high-stakes business needs, not from having more technical certifications. You understand why retainers protect both you and your client while building predictable revenue. And you've seen the exact mistakes that I've made, charging one time for ongoing systems and leaving $24,000 on the table because I was afraid to ask for what the system was actually worth. But more importantly, you've seen the shift that changes everything from I can build this technology to I can solve your high-stakes business problem. This shift is worth thousands of dollars per project. And it's the difference between being a freelancer and being a consultant. If you want to land your first or next AI client, you can take part in the 4-week challenge inside of my free school community of like-minded people, where you'll find a free course that's honestly better than most paid courses out there, and you'll get direct one-on-one access to me for whatever questions you may have. The link is down in the description. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.